Millions of kids across the globe have the exact same dream, becoming a professional footballer. It's a dream of roaring crowds, coveted trophies, and a life packed with fame and fortune. And why not? That's the spectacle sold to us every weekend. We see modern-day gladiators who look invincible, scoring impossible goals and celebrating with multi-million-dollar contracts. But what happens when the cameras go dark, the stadium lights fade, and that roar of the crowd is replaced by a silence so loud it's deafening? This is the story of what's hiding on the other side of that dream, the part that never makes the highlight reels. It's a story of mental breakdowns, crushing pressure, and scandals that unfold far from the pitch. It all starts with a simple, human moment that completely shatters the superhero illusion. As one famous player confessed, his voice cracking, "I remember just sitting in my car and I couldn't stop crying. I had everything I ever dreamed of, and I'd never felt more alone." This is the brutal reality of football fame, where the price of glory can sometimes be a player's own soul. Behind that tough exterior, a silent epidemic is sweeping through the world's most popular sport. It might surprise you, but professional footballers can face higher rates of depression and anxiety than the general population. A landmark 2015 study by the Players Union, FIFPRO, revealed that a staggering 38% of active players reported symptoms of depression. So many of these athletes feel trapped, stuck in a culture where admitting a mental struggle has long been seen as a sign of weakness. The list of names is as long as it is heartbreaking. World Cup winner Andres Iniesta spoke about being in a bottomless well while battling depression triggered by personal loss and the unbelievable pressure of playing for Barcelona. Former Manchester United captain Michael Carrick admitted he suffered from depression for 2 years after a single match. The 2009 Champions League final sent him into a spiral he just couldn't understand. Even Paul Pogba, player known for his infectious energy, has opened up about his own struggles, saying that big paychecks are no shield from the pain. His words: "You can have all the money you want, but you are not well in your head." These aren't just isolated incidents, they're symptoms of a systemic problem. The very things that make a player great: discipline, resilience, that relentless drive for perfection, can become weapons they turn on themselves. An injury isn't just a physical setback, it's a mental one. A 2024 survey by the Professional Footballers Association PFA found that 2/3 of players said the fear of a career-ending injury took a toll on their mental well-being. For a player on a short-term contract, one bad tackle could be the end of everything. This constant insecurity is a breeding ground for anxiety. Making all of this internal struggle worse is the pressure cooker of modern media. Today's footballer doesn't just play for 90 minutes a week. They live under a 24/7 microscope. Back in the day, a bad game might be wrapped up with tomorrow's fish and chips. Now, a single mistake is clipped, turned into a meme, and replayed endlessly on social media, often with a flood of abuse from anonymous trolls. But this isn't just part of the game. It's a direct assault on a player's mental health. The PFA found that online abuse negatively affected more than a quarter of its players. Look at someone like Marcus Rashford. One season, he's a national hero. The next, after his form dips, he's a target for vicious attacks from people who forget there's a human being wearing that jersey. Many former pros admit they would have found it incredibly difficult to cope with today's social media landscape, where every pass is judged and every post is scrutinized. This pressure creates an impossible standard. Players are expected to be flawless on the pitch and perfect role models off it. They're supposed to be heroes, not vulnerable people. This forces many to put on a mask, to build a wall around themselves that only makes them feel more alone. As Paul Pogba pointed out, when Kylian Mbappé missed that crucial penalty for France, he was hit with a storm of awful criticism. Pogba's takeaway was chilling. If you are not shielded mentally, you are dead in this sport. Scandals and self-destruction. When that pressure becomes too much to bear, some players look for an escape. And when you mix immense wealth with unstructured free time, that escape can lead straight down a path of self-destruction. Football history is littered with tragic stories of brilliant talent undone by addiction. The names George Best and Paul Gascoigne are timeless cautionary tales. Geniuses with a ball whose lives were consumed by their battles with alcohol. Gaza, once the darling of English football, had a heartbreaking public decline, his health and fortune destroyed by his inner demons. But this isn't just a problem of the past. Former Arsenal star Paul Merson has spoken with raw honesty about his 45-year gambling addiction, a disease that cost him millions and nearly his life. Addiction is so often a symptom of something deeper, a way to cope with the stress, the boredom, or the huge void left by injury or retirement. In a recent PFA survey, alcohol and gambling were flagged as the top non-football hazards impacting player well-being. These scandals aren't just personal tragedies, they're public spectacles. The same media that builds these players into gods seems to take even more pleasure in tearing them down. The players' off-field troubles become front-page news, feeding the fallen hero narrative. But what we often label as a moral failing is, more often than not, a desperate cry for help from someone put on a pedestal so high they were never taught how to handle the fall. The aftermath, life after the final whistle. For so many players, the biggest challenge doesn't come during their career, but right after it ends. A footballer's life is mapped out for them from a young age, a rigid cycle of training, traveling, and playing. When that final whistle blows, usually in their mid-30s, the entire structure disappears overnight, and with it goes their identity. This sudden void can trigger a massive crisis, leading to depression and a feeling of utter purposelessness. This psychological crisis is often matched by financial ruin. Despite earning salaries most of us can only dream of, a startling number of footballers face bankruptcy soon after retiring. Some estimates suggest as many as 40% of players go broke within a few years of leaving the game. Between costly divorces, bad investments, and spending fueled by addiction, a lifetime of earnings can vanish in a flash. The story of former Arsenal defender Emmanuel Eboué is a harsh reminder. After earning millions, he lost it all and ended up sleeping on a friend's floor. And former England keeper David James, who earned an estimated £20 million, declared bankruptcy in 2014. Then there's the physical price. Years of high-impact sport can lead to chronic pain and raise serious concerns about long-term neurological issues like chronic traumatic encephalopathy (CTE). A condition whose link to football is the subject of growing and urgent research. Players who gave their bodies to the game find themselves physically and emotionally broken, often without the support system of their old club. They're left to figure out a new life they were never prepared for, haunted by the ghost of their own glory. For way too long, these issues were the sport's dirty little secret, whispered about but never tackled head-on. But that culture of silence is finally starting to crack. A new generation of players is refusing to suffer alone. Players like Richarlison have spoken publicly about going to therapy, a brave act that's helping to tear down the stigma. When players share their stories, it tells millions of fans that it's okay to not be okay. And the institutions are starting to listen. Organizations like the PFA and IFPRO are rolling out programs to give players better mental health support. The PFA now runs mental health workshops and has a 24/7 helpline with a network of over 200 counselors, many of them former athletes who truly get it. Premier League campaigns like Inside Matters are pushing for more open conversations about mental well-being inside the clubs. These are more than just first steps, they're a lifeline. The goal is to build an environment where a player's mental health is treated with the exact same care as their physical health, where asking for psychological support isn't a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength, a key to peak performance and a healthy life. It means changing the culture of football from top to bottom, from the boardroom to the bleachers. It means remembering these athletes are human first. This conversation about the dark side of football fame involves every single one of us who loves the game. Real change starts with awareness and empathy. If you or anyone you know is struggling, please know that help is out there. Groups like the PFA, FPRO, and other mental health charities offer resources and a safe place to talk. By sharing these stories and demanding a culture of understanding, we can make a real difference. Let's work to make sure the beautiful game stops breaking its most gifted players. The dream of being a pro footballer will always be magical. The glory, the passion, the moments of pure collective joy, that's what makes us love the sport, but we can't let the spectacle blind us. Behind every hero on that pitch is a human being dealing with extraordinary pressure. They aren't invincible gods. They are men and women with the same fears and vulnerabilities as the rest of us. By acknowledging the dark side of fame, we don't tarnish their achievements. We actually deepen our respect for them. We see the true cost of their dedication and the hidden battles they fight every single day. The ultimate goal isn't just to protect the players, but to humanize them, to help create a world where the roar of the crowd lifts them up instead of weighing them down. A world where a player's well-being is, and always will be, the most valuable trophy of all.